Hello there and welcome to Morella 5 Yoga. It's yoga for all this evening. So we'll start by taking a good sitting position. Press your sit bone into the floor and sit tall. And if you like, bring your hands to your heart as if in prayer. Close your eyes, turn your attention inwards and bring your attention to your breath. Long, slow breath deep into your belly. Longer, slower breath out. And twice more. And we'll open with 3 ohms. Exhale. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Open your eyes, release your hands. So word of the day in line with the times is inoculation. So I was speaking to someone yesterday and she's been someone that's been fairly regular practitioner of yoga but had somehow put it down for the last 2 or 3 months, and she took the opportunity to join me in the class during the week, and she was telling me yesterday that it was interesting. She just needed that boost, that one class, to get her re-engaged with her yoga practice. So she's a busy mum, she has her own business and so on and so forth, and I suppose with the extra things around COVID, somehow or other the practice went by the by, and she said that's all she needed was one class to get her going again. So in your practice this evening, we're inoculating ourselves for the disappointments which may come tomorrow, next week, 6 months' time, or a year's time. And the work that we're doing now, by inoculating ourselves, by getting onto our mat day after day, week after week, builds to a future where when we do get that hit, when we are disappointed by life, when things don't line up, when our ducks are not all in a row, when we don't get our own way, so how are we with that disappointment? And the savings that you have made by being practicing on your mat pay back during those times when life doesn't add up for you. So remembering that in your practice this evening, you might like to make an intention around it, an intention around your practice, or an intention off the mat and out into your life, so that you get the full benefit of your inoculation on the mat this evening. Okay, great. So let's make our way into cat-cow. Place your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, and exhale, round your back up towards the ceiling, not forgetting to lift your belly. Inhale, sink down between your shoulder blades, body following breath. Exhale, round up. Inhale. And not forgetting to make the maximum movement of your spine for this while you're in these 2 poses. Because we don't move our spine like this during the day. It tends to be upright, whether we're standing or we're sitting. And this simple wave-like motion up and down your spine is so restorative, so healing. It's creating spaces between the discs. As you're developing or building the strength of your spine by creating the spaces between the discs, which seems like a funny thing to say, but when we create space between the discs, We allow the spinal fluids to run freely, and from that impacts on our whole nervous system, of course. Exhaling, rounding up, inhaling, sinking down. And coming back to a place of stillness and moving into southpaw tiger. So turn your fingers so that they turn towards your knees. Parallel your little fingers if that's available for you. Stretch your right leg out behind you, flex and point it. Float your shoulders over your wrists, engage your core, gaze out in front. Lower that knee to the floor and switch over onto the other leg. Stretch your toes as far away from your forehead as you possibly can. Your foot that's on the floor, flare your toes. Engage your quads of the lifted leg. And come and sit back in your heels, the tops of your feet on the floor. Inner heels together, inner shins. Inhale your arms up, clasp your hands together, interlace your fingers, turn your palms up. Move your elbows over your shoulders. Engage your core, stretch up, press down. Release your hands to your sides and move into down dog. Separate your hands wider than your shoulders and then parallel your index fingers. Grip the floor with your fingertips. Lift your hips high and invite your heels to come towards the floor. Press the heel of your hand into the floor. Externally rotate your upper arms towards the short end of the mat. Engage your quads. Lift your hips as high as is available to you today and melt your heart. Float forward into plank. You shouldn't have to move your toes to do that. Shoulders over wrists. Squeeze your heels together, heels vertical, gaze out in front. If it's too strong for you, just come onto your knees and do plank on your knees. Lower to the floor, coming into locust one. Arms by your sides, tops of your feet on the floor. Squeeze your heels together. Squeeze your inner legs. Press the backs of your hands into the floor. Lift your head and shoulders high off the floor. Tighten your glutes. Lower your head to the floor and turn onto the side of your face and just rest. Moving into locust 2, lift arms off the floor. Sorry, lift legs off the floor, lift arms off the floor, lift head and chest off the floor. Turn your thumbs up, bring your hands closer together. Squeeze your inner legs together, engage your glutes. And gently release. We're moving into leg lifts. Come and lie on your back. Clasp your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. Bring your elbows into the side of your face. Lift your head off the floor. Bring your knees into your chest. Inhale, stretch your legs up. Exhale. Inhale, lower your legs to the floor. Exhale, bring them back up. And again, a reminder, if you have a lower back thing going on, do it one leg at a time or with your knees bent. And see if you can do 2 rounds of 5. Don't forget to breathe. And releasing your legs to the floor, make your way back onto your belly. And moving into locust with arms band. Clasp your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Bend your elbows enough so that your thumbs are on the small of your back, on your sacrum. Keeping that. Inhale, lift your legs off the floor, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, stretch your knuckles towards your heels, squeeze your elbows towards each other, broaden across your collarbones, gaze out in front. Release your arms to the floor and turn your head the other way and rest. Tune into your breath. Make our way into down dog lunge. Come onto your hands and knees. Step your right foot forward. Place your hands wider than shoulder width apart on the inside of your front foot on the floor, on your mat, and lift your back knee off the floor. Then walk your hands forward, hands wider than shoulder width apart. Drop your head, look back towards your back foot. Front shin vertical. Front thigh parallel. Lift the back of your back knee up, engage your quad. And switch legs. Front foot back, back foot forward. And walk your hands back and walk your right hand out to the edge of the mat and lift your left arm up, coming into revolved lunge. Elbow over shoulder, look up. Lift the back of your back knee. Release that hand to the floor and switch feet, front foot back, back foot forward. Place your left hand at the outside edge of your mat, lift your right arm up, look up. Lower your hand to the floor, step your feet together and stand up. Moving into power pose prep. Inhale your arms out in front and then move the head of the arm bone back into the shoulder socket. And then bend your knees, lower your hips, sink down, gaze straight ahead. Engage your core. Press your tailbone towards the floor and then sit back almost to the point of falling over, back straight. Engage your biceps. Press down, stand up, and coming into mountain, step your feet together. Four corners of the feet onto the floor, squeeze your shins in. Stretch from your hips to under your armpits. Broaden across your collarbones. Stretch your arms down, stretch your fingers down. Turn into your senses. Notice anything you can hear and follow the sound in both ears to the middle of your head. Moving into crescent pose, place your left hand on your hip, lift your right arm up by your ear, move your hips to the right, your torso to the left, be as sideways as possible. Press down equally, both feet into the floor, engage your legs. Press tailbone down, tighten your glutes. Inhale back up to centre and switch to the other arm. Left arm up by your ear, almost just brushing off your ear, and move your hips to the side you haven't been to before. Tighten your glutes and feel the difference that makes on your body. Inhale, back up to centre. And moving into power pose, arms overhead, lift your arms overhead, brushing your arms off your ears, bend your knees, lower your hips, press your tailbone down, lightly engage your core, and then sit back. Press down, stand up. And coming into standing camel, place your hands on your hips. Squeeze your elbows back behind you towards each other. Press down equally with your feet. Squeeze your inner legs together, tighten your glutes, move your hips forward. Lift your chest up, keep squeezing your elbows, keep tightening your glutes. Look up at the ceiling. Go as far as you dare. Keep pushing your hips forward, keep tightening your glutes. Inhale and make your way back up to centre, noticing the sensations again. Moving into tree pose. Shift your weight onto your left foot and place your right foot against your ankle, your shin, or your upper inner thigh, whatever suits you. Bring your hands to your heart. Release your hands and switch to the other side. Shift your weight onto your right foot, lift your left foot and place it. Press foot into leg, leg into foot, and hands to your heart. Inhale and release. Moving into warrior one, hands together overhead. Take a big step forward with your right foot with attitude and intention. Turn your back foot out slightly, 45 degrees. Bend your front knee, so front shin vertical, thigh parallel. Inhale your arms up, bring your palms together. Square your hips to shoulders to the front of the mat. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, roll your left hip back. Gaze out in front. Make sure your front knee is lining up with the root of your second toe. Inhale, press down, stand up and pivot to the other end of the mat. Bend your front knee, sink down. Torso upright, careful not to lean out over your front leg. Inhale back up. Moving into warrior two, turn your left foot in, turn your right foot out. Line up your front heel so it bisects the arch of your back foot. Inhale your arms up. Hands in line with shoulders. Bend your right knee. Make sure your upper body is in the middle of your both feet, not leaning forward over your front knee. Then look out over your right hand arm. Make sure your front knee is tracking with the root of your second toe. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor. Roll your left ribs back. Engage your biceps. Press down, stand up and pivot. Right foot in, left foot out. Bend your front knee, sink down, torso in the middle of both feet, hands in line with each other, look out over your left hand arm, front shin vertical, thigh parallel, careful not to lean over your front knee. Press your back foot into the floor, engage your quad. Press down, stand up, and make your way to the back of the mat. Moving into elevated locust. You can place your hands on your hips, you can clasp your hands behind you, or you can place your hands by your sides, whichever is your personal preference. For me, I'm clasping my hands behind my back. Step forward with your right foot, bend your right knee, lean forward, lift your back leg off the floor, and then lift your arms up as high as you can. Gaze out in front, turn your back knee towards the floor, that's your left knee. More doable, you can put your hands on the floor or on blocks. Inhale, press down, stand up, and switch to the other leg. Step forward with your left foot, bend your left knee, lean forward, lift your back leg off the floor. Turn your back knee towards the floor. Inhale, press down, step your feet together. Moving into eagle pose. Bend your knees slightly, shift your weight onto your left foot and lift your right leg and wrap it around the left. Lift your left arm and wrap the right underneath, or simply bring your elbows together, palms together. Square your hips, your shoulders to the front of the mat. Keep your back straight. Bend your knee, sink down. And release, and switch to the other side. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Lift your left leg and wrap it around the front of the right. Lift the right arm and wrap the left underneath. Hug the midline. Square towards the front of the mat. Bend the standing leg. Sink down, back straight. Inhale, press down, stand up. So when we're in balancing poses, it's well to remember that when we feel all over the place and that we're practicing our balance, or we're practicing our balance in difficult circumstances. So your body's working, your breath is moving through your body, at the same time you're trying to stay in balance. And then the next time out in your life, off the mat, when things go doolally, you can move into a place of balance more easily because you're not fighting with the whole stress of what's going on in your body, but you have that pre-training done and it's there for you. You only have to access it and not to forget that it's there. So moving into wide leg forward fold. Parallel the outside edges of your feet with the short ends of the mat. Or another way of saying that is make sure the middle of your ankle lines up with the root of your second toe. That keeps your feet in good alignment. And then you may like to use blocks here or not, it's entirely up to you. Inhale your arms up, exhale, hinge forward, place your hands under your shoulders, lift your head, look up. Then squeeze your inner shins together, your inner thighs, turn your sit bones up and just gaze out in front. Keeping your feet where they are, turn your right foot out. Line up your front heel with the middle of your back arch of your left foot and place your right hand on the floor or place it on a block, or if that's just too low for you today, place your hand on the outside of your shin or knee and then either place your left hand on your hip or lift your top arm up to vertical, elbow over shoulder. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, engage your quads, press your front foot into the floor. Inhale, press down, stand up, turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Inhale your arms up and then reach forward and place your hand on the floor or on the outside of your shin. Place your hand on your hip, inhale, press down, stand up and step your feet together. Moving into revolve trikonasana. Some people like to use a block in this, or a book, or a cushion. No, probably a cushion wouldn't be a good thing. So, step forward with your right foot and square your hips, your shoulders to the short end of the mat. Lift your left arm up by your ear. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward and place your hand on the floor on the outside of your right foot. Line up fingernails with toenails and then place your right hand on your hip. It can stay here or lift your top arm up to vertical. Then draw your right hip back. Engage your quads. Turn your sit bones up. Inhale, lower that arm, make your way to standing. Step your feet together, right foot back, left foot forward. Square again, lift your right arm up, cross your body and place your hand on the floor on the outside of your left foot and then lift your top arm up to vertical. Release your arm down and step into forward fold. Knees bent, line up fingernails and toenails, allow your head to drop. And then float your hips forward just ever so slightly. Pressing your heel of your hands towards the floor, press the backs of your knees behind you. Moving into monkey lunge, come onto your hands and knees, step your right foot forward. Front shin vertical, thigh parallel, inhale your arms up, hands shoulder width apart. gaze out in front. Inhale and lower your hands to the floor and switch feet. Front foot back, back foot forward. And once again, inhale your arms up. Arms brushing off ears, elbows over shoulders. And come and make your way into pigeon pose, onto your hands and knees. Walk your right knee forward and towards the right hand side of your mat, and invite your front foot to come forward towards the short end of your mat so that your shin is making an attempt to be parallel to the front of the mat. Then walk your back knee back and press the top of your foot into the floor, and then lower down onto your elbows, clasp your hands together, gaze out in front. Press your back foot into the floor, lift your knee off the floor. Press the outside edge of your front foot into the floor, lift your ankle off the floor. And then just slip down onto your right hip, nice and easy. Place your right hand on the floor off to the right hand side of your mat. Reach back with your left hand, bend your left knee, bring your heel into your hip, and sit tall. Lift your chest, stretch your spine, square towards the short end of your mat. And as we move into the next transition, might you notice yourself, witness yourself moving through the transition. So release your leg and just notice every move you make to move through the transition. You might move through down dog. And then moving into pigeon on the left hand side, move your left knee forward, walk your back knee back, torso upright. Lower down onto your elbows. Clasp your hands together. Press the top of your back foot into the floor, lift your back knee off the floor, press the outside edge of your front foot into the floor, lift your front ankle. And then just look back at all the little movements you made to move from one pose to the next. Noticing the sensations in your body. Noticing the dog barking and using that as part of your practice. And then come and sit on your left hip. Reach back with your right hand, bend your right knee, bring your heel to your hip. And then be as tall as you can and square towards the front of the mat. And release your foot. Make your way into thunderbolt, elevated thunderbolt. So turn your toes under, inner big toes together, inner ankles, inner knees together if it's available to you. It may not be available to you, so you can bring your knees wider apart. Bring your hands to your heart, sit tall, broaden across your collarbones, and press with your sit bones into your heels. Now notice the new sensations. Making our way into 8 angle pose. Release your hands to the floor, walk your knees back. Keeping your toes turned under, bend your elbows, lower your chest to the floor, your chin to the floor. Arms and cobra arms, which means moving them down the side of your body until your forearms are vertical. So, toes on the floor, knees on the floor, hips off the floor, chest on the floor, chin on the floor, and 2 hands. Turn your sit bones up. Stretch your legs out behind you. And moving into cobra, legs off the floor, so hands far enough back down your body so that your forearms are vertical, your elbows are pointing towards the ceiling. Squeeze your elbows towards each other, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, lift your legs off the floor, tighten your glutes. And release. And then coming into full cobra, feet together, more difficult, feet inner hip width apart, more doable, arms still in cobra arms, coming through the gateway of your arms. Inhale, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, squeeze your inner heels, inner shins, inner thighs, broaden across your collarbones, tighten your glutes. And make your way to lying on your back. We're coming into recline big toe. If you have a strap, you might like to get it now, or not. Stretch your left leg out, curl your right knee into your chest, and clasp the big right toe with the first 2 fingers of your right hand. Inhale your leg up, straight. Push through the heel. Press the heel of the left leg into the floor, press the back of the left thigh into the floor. Draw the leg towards you, endeavouring to keep it straight. Engage the quad of the right leg, and actually engage the quads of both legs. And then allow your right leg to come out to the side. Push through the heel and look away from your right leg foot. Inhale your right leg back to centre. Lift your head and shoulders off the floor. Stretch your left hand down towards your left knee. Lift your left foot off the floor, flex and point it. Draw your right leg towards you. Look towards your left foot. And release to the floor and switch to the other side. Curl your left knee in, clasp your left toe with the first 2 fingers, stretch it up. Draw the whole of the left leg towards you. Push through the heel of the right leg. Press the back of the right thigh into the floor. Allow your left leg to come out to the side, just as far as your right hip is still pinned to the floor. Inhale back to centre. Lift your right leg off the floor and reach towards your right knee, flex and point it. Look towards your right knee. And release that leg to the floor. And moving in to thread the needle, place both feet on the floor in front of your hips. Lift your right foot, bring the outside edge of it on top of your left knee. Thread your hands between your legs, clasp your left thigh or your left knee, and draw the knee in closer to you, shin parallel to the ceiling, both feet active. Switch to the other side, lift your left foot, place it on top of your right knee, and then slide your hands between your legs and clasp your knee or your thigh, not forgetting to keep both feet active. And release the floor. And coming into recline twist, stretch your right leg out, bend your left knee and your left foot and lift it over your right leg and roll onto your right hip, bringing your left knee to the floor. Stretch your left hand arm out behind you and then lift your head off the floor and turn it towards your backhand arm, place it back on the floor. If you wish, you can place your right hand on top of your left knee. And switch to the other side. Stretch your left leg out, cross your right leg over and bring your right knee to the floor, rolling over onto your left hip. Stretch your right hand arm out behind you and look behind you. Inhale back to centre. And I'll just check the time here. Moving into happy baby. Bring both knees into your chest. Clasp the outside edges of your feet with your hands. Separate your knees wider than your shoulders, your feet wider than your shoulders. Shins vertical. Soles of feet parallel to the ceiling. Drawing down on the soles of your feet, push up with the soles of your feet into your hands. Press your lower back into the floor. Invite your shoulder blades onto your back. Press your head into the floor. Lift your chin out of your chest. Drawing your knees down towards the sides of your body. And then bring both knees into your chest and give yourself the most delicious, loving, kindly hug that you ever received in your life. Love yourself, the best, most perfect manifestation of life that there is, that you can be. Just this. And it's time to prepare for relaxation. Stretch arms out, stretch legs out. If you wish to take a blanket, now's the time to get it. And close your eyes and turn in. You might like to take one or two quite deep inhalations and sigh the exhalation out, making it even longer than the inhalation. Begin to deepen your breathing. Start to awaken your body. Move your hands, your feet. Perhaps give yourself a stretch if you like. And when you're ready, bend your knees, roll to one side, and make your way to sitting, or stay where you are. I invite you to bring your hands to your heart, close your eyes, turn in, and for a moment just returning to your intention for the start of the practice and remembering it once more. To honour ourselves, each other, and the practice, we close with one Om. Exhale, inhale. Om. Thanks for practicing, thanks for coming to practice, and as usual, if you enjoy this practice, give me a like, share, or even subscribe to me on YouTube. See you on the mat.